When Red Dead 1 came out, it was a game I did not know I needed. I was a kid at the time, and I never even heard of Red Dead Revolver, so it was something I never expected to get from Rockstar. The amount of fun I had playing that game is insane. Playing as John Marston and chasing down his former gang members made you intrigued about him and the men he used to run with. All of the interesting dialogue you would have with people really made you want to know what was John like when he ran with the Vanderlinde gang. So obviously, this video will have spoilers of Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2, so if that bothers you, turn off the damn video. But in the events of Red Dead 1, we know how the Bureau used John's family to get him to hunt down Billwilliamson, Javier Escuella, and dutchvanderlinde, the gang's former leader. During the encounters with Billwilliamson, he pretty much was the dumb one of the group. He always been one that everybody picked on and made the most fun of, but he damn sure held his own. Dutch was pretty much the same in both games, I feel like, for the most part. He's the leader who leads, obviously, and he's really known for the way he's able to speak to people and manipulate them to get them to fight his fight.
I had a goddamn plan!
But Javier, I feel, is a completely different story and person in both games. So this really got me thinking, what was the goal for his character and why was he so different from Red Dead Redemption 1? Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host TTG, and this is From Noble Outlaw to Broken Man, the Javier story. Now, for the record, this isn't one of those videos where I'm finna go straight from the beginning and talk about when Javier was born and his family and all that extra BS, because that involves me to do research I am not willing to do. We just about to get straight to my point, and I can hear y'all now.
Well, TTG, why don't you just give us a description and the background of the character?
No, motherfucker, I'm not gonna do that. Go look it up yourself. You're not even subscribed to the channel, but you want me to go do all that damn research for you. Make it make sense. But I will tell you about him in Red Dead Redemption 2. And you know what he was? He was straight cool, calm, and collected every single time in every situation, from the game in the beginning to the end. He also was the drip god. I'm calling him the drip god. Him and Dutch was the best dressing people in that damn game, but I think Javier dressed better than anybody. Like, look at this man fits right here. Look at this. Even when he was stuck on an island and didn't have clothes, he was still dripped out. But drip aside, the more I played Red Dead 2, the more I questioned what Rockstar goal was with this character. And let me explain exactly what I mean. So as we know, in Red Dead 2, it's a sequel to Red Dead 1. And in Red Dead 1, John tells us how Javier, Bill, and Dutch all went crazy and left John for dead. They abandoned the code or whatever.
I left the gang after the gang left me. Left me to die after I'd been shot. They'd all gone crazy anyhow. Our old leader, fella you probably heard of. Anyway, he more or less lost his mind, went and shot a bunch of people unfair like. I got shot in a robbery. They left me, and I left them.
But you know what they say, there's three sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth. So, could we really say John was telling the full truth? Like we seen in Red Dead 2, Javier stood by the gang side through thick and thin the entire time. And he even saved John, who was stuck in the mountains in the beginning of the game. Pretty much saved his life. His character was the most level-headed out of anyone in the group. And you also wouldn't see no signs of him switching up and becoming, well, this.
Hello, old friend. It's been a long time.
Hello, brother. It's good to see you. I heard you was coming. You took your time, no? Come on, you're not gonna shoot your own brother, are you? We was family.
Yeah, we were. Then you and Dutch went crazy and family didn't mean so much.
So now you do the government's work.
And what do? You just work for a different government.
Come on, brother. I think we should go our separate ways, huh?
What you and Dutch did was wrong. And the way you left me was wrong. Now, I hate to judge, but as it turns out, it's you or me. The way I see it, might as well be you.
We thought you was dead, brother. I promise. I'm telling the truth. Besides, I can give you Bill. In Dutch. Dutch is in Colombia. I can take you straight to him.
You left me to die?
Whoa.
To save your own skin, and now you expect me to care about you?
You got it all wrong, brother. I've always loved you. Even now.
Oh, shit!
See how damn different his ass became? Like, my man's went from this to Speedy Gonzalez. I'm sorry, I take that back. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. I am curious to what the plan was for his character in the development stages, because he never necessarily was the center of attention in Red Dead 2. He pretty much was a background character for the most part. So knowing this, how could he change so much after all he stood for? In plenty of dialogue throughout the game, he speaks highly of Mexico and where he's from and his people, and he talks about how the people who run Mexico do not care for the people who live in Mexico, and the only reason he's not there is because he killed a powerful man and he won't be able to go back no time soon. And the same with the gang that he ran with, the Vanderlinde gang. He sits here and he speaks highly of them and he protects them with his life. He refers to all of them as his brothers and he actually sees them as family. But yet, here we are. So, what do I think caused it, you may ask? I think it was the fall from grace that Dutch had. And here y'all go.
TTG, how can one man change the way another man acts?
Dutch is built different, okay? This man manipulates everybody. Like, listen to this speech he gives.
The modern world is ugly, but the old world was worse. Our job is to make a better world for ourselves. Not go backward, but go forward with hope and dreams. And that hope begins now by being hopeful and happy.
See, he was a born leader. Who wouldn't want to follow that handsome devil right there? But sadly, he was full of bullshit the entire time. So we all seen how Dutch switched up and became who he is in Red Dead 1. But we only heard of how much it affected Javier the most. Or at least that's what John Marston says.
When Dutch started falling apart, it hit Javier harder than any of them. He went crazy. It was like the one thing he'd ever believed in turned out to be a fraud.
I genuinely don't think Javier was as bad as projected in Red Dead 1, because we're going off the story that we are hearing from John Marston. In Red Dead 1, we barely see Javier Escuella. And in the little time we do see him, he seems to be just like John described. But it's been years at this point. They haven't seen each other. They haven't been brothers in a long, long time. And in Red Dead 2, you see a whole different side to Javier that you would never have thought existed. But again, this whole story is coming from John Marston, someone who felt betrayed and hurt that the gang pretty much turned his back on him. And that's a whole different story, just because playing throughout the game of Red Dead Redemption 2, you play as Arthur Morgan, and you can see that they never really cared for John Marston. Not Arthur himself, but just the gang. It just seemed like they never really had a big love for him. And maybe it was because of John Marston leaving the gang at one point and coming back, or whatever the case may be. It was something that had some rift between John and Dutch, Javier, Bill, and whoever else.
How did the Pinkertons know about the bank job in Saint Denis, John? You want to tell me that?
If you really think that, you are gone in the head.
Oh, and here's the other one. I raised you as sons. Goddamn snakes!
But if what John Marston says is correct, then it makes sense why Dutch basically be going crazy is what caused Javier to lose his mind as well. Just imagine someone you highly respect and look up to turn around and go against everything they ever taught you or who you thought they were as a person. A lot of that would devastate a lot of people. And maybe that was enough for Javier to abandon his code and not have any loyalty to anyone, because he goes from this loyal person that always have your back to someone who's willing to just give you up for his own freedom. So I ask you the question, do you think Javier having so much faith in Dutch is what ultimately caused him to fail as well? Or do you think Rockstar just didn't know what to do with his character? Thank you all for tuning in and watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button, comment, share with your friends, and of course subscribe. And if you can't wait for GTA 6, click this video on the screen here. We talk a little bit about that. As always, I've been your host, Ty Talks Gaming, and I'll see you all when the sun sets. Peace and love.